All right, let's try this one more time. So, how is our audio? Can you still hear me? Let's see if the stream is updating properly and we can get all the audio online. I've been telling you quite a bit already, but you have not been able to hear me properly. Let's see if I get a confirmation that the audio is working. All right, perfect. Yoo-hoo. So, welcome to the world of digital learning. Sometimes we have technical problems, sometimes we go without any issues. This time we had issues. Actually, it's the first time I had a lot of webinars. Usually things work out very smoothly. This time we had some issues. But yeah, it's time to start. So finally, welcome everybody to the webinar. Today we're going to talk about how to use digital platform in mathematics learning, but you can actually use the same principles with any subject in whatsoever. And actually, I'm going to extend my theme a little bit about digital learning in general. Without further ado, let's get started. We wasted enough time on me figuring out how to get audio to work. So first of all, welcome and greetings from Finland. Now it's lovely springtime. We still have a little bit of snow here, but most of them is melted already. We had a really good winter this year. A lot of snow, a lot of freezing weather. I love a really good winter myself, but actually I can't wait to have spring and the summer. I do love sun. We are living here in the northern hemisphere, and our city where I'm located in, Turku, we are famous for a river. You can see the river in the middle of the screen. And one thing you might know about Finland, or actually you might not know about Finland, is that Santa Claus is actually from here. But yeah, let's start with the webinar. So who is this webinar for? Well, I see in the sign up list for this webinar, and we have there a lot of teachers who are already using the Playground and they're wanting to learn more. That's awesome. We also have here teachers who are considering to start using Eduten Playground as a tool and are looking to learn more, which is awesome. And then we have teachers who are interested in digital learning in general. They're wanting to learn more. They might be using some other platform, but this webinar is for all of you, and I hope you can learn a lot. And just a short mention here, if you are interested in trying out Eduten Playground, the platform, you can start a 4-week free pilot by going to eduten.com/get started, and you can sign up for a pilot. In this webinar, I've divided into 2 parts. The first part is more about the theoretical background of digital learning, kind of putting together what we know from research, what we know from experience, and what you should think when you start using digital solutions, especially in subjects like mathematics. In a second part, I will give practical examples what we have done with Eduten Playground, what we have researched, and also what other teachers have been doing with it. What are the best practices? What have we learned over the years using the platform? What are the best ways of using it with students, either in school or in remote teaching? Even if you're not interested in Eduten Playground per se, I think you should stay until the end to hear about the practical examples and the experiences that we have. So, when we talk about technology in learning, we as teachers, we need to focus on how and when we use technology. So basically, it means when does using the technology improve teaching and learning? It doesn't help learning and teaching by just existing, but we actually need to know how to use it, what solutions to use, and when we use them. And this is something I want to clarify in this webinar a lot. So we focus on how we use things, in which situations we use technology, and we actually also talk a little bit about measuring the impact of using the technology. Even though we are talking about technology and digital learning today a lot, I want to remind you that there are a lot of other things, really important things that you need to consider when you're teaching. Digital learning is only a small part of good pedagogics. I myself, I'm a true fan of technology, of course, but I still do love a lot of action-based learning. I do love inquiry-based learning. I do recognize the need for worksheets, pen and paper exercises. There is situations where direct instruction is very good and so on. And actually, combining all these different methods is a huge advantage. That will make learning versatile for the students, and that will actually keep them interested in. If we pick one method, any method from anywhere, and we use only that one method, it will get boring. Sooner or later, it will get boring. But if we use versatility, if we use different methods, that will keep things interesting for the students, but also for you as a teacher. Sometimes it's good to experiment on new things. Well, of course, another thing is how much digital learning. So we need to have it, or we want to have it, we might need it, but how much do we actually need it? So I picked up some numbers from research. You can see the sources down below. But to get good results, we need 30 to 75 minutes per week. At school, at home, 30 minutes to 75 minutes a week. So we don't need a whole lot of this. We need some. And well, I consider this 30 to 75 minutes per week per subject. So if we are using digital learning in multiple subjects, I would increase the number. Like in math, we do half an hour. In languages, we do another half an hour, and so on. It depends a little bit how much you're doing. But this also tells you that you need to have some level of activity. 5 minutes, 15 minutes, it's not enough. That will not give you the impact. But also, if you start to go overboard, over 75 minutes a week, you start to lose the advantage. So there is the sweet spot here. Everything does not need to be converted into digital learning, but something is very good to have in digital format. This slide here is probably the most important slide of this whole webinar, and this you can use in a lot of ways, kind of to draw yourself context, how you actually want to use technology and how you are currently using it. There are two axes. There is regular usage to irregular usage. So how much you use the technology. Do you use it on daily basis, weekly basis? Do you use it every now and then? Let's say once a month, maybe once in 2 months, every now and then, maybe once in an academic year or so on. So that also already gives some idea how useful the tool is. how often you are able to use it, how often you feel that it's necessary to use it. And the other axis is the goals. How well defined goals you have for using that app or platform or solution. And what I mean about goals, what are you looking to gain from using that certain solution or platform? Kind of what are you expecting from the students? Uh, are you checking what they're doing? Are they just having some fun time, playing around, consuming some time, killing time, and so on? And let's go through all these four areas one by one. And let's start from the worst. So, if we use something like regularly, let's say every day, or let's say every week, it doesn't matter. And we don't have any clear goals for the students, what they should do, what they should achieve. We can't actually measure if they did well or if they did not well. That's pretty much wasting time. We are regularly using time on something that we don't measure, we don't have goals, we don't know why we do it, basically. If we don't have goals, we don't know why we are doing something. So that's wasted time. Try to avoid that. That's the worst thing you can do. Then we have something here on the left side, apps for killing time. Sometimes this might be actually legit. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I wouldn't pay anything in this category. So let's say, for example, sometimes some lessons, some students, they just get ready really fast and they don't have anything else to do. And you need something for them to kill the time. Then they can pull out their mobile phone, they pull out iPad, they start working on an app or so, play a game, learning game, and so on. It doesn't have a goal other than just killing the time, but it's not hurting a lot. If you don't do this regularly, it means that most of the time the lesson plans are working well, there's no extra time to waste, and so on. So it's no harm done, and that's fine. Sometimes we end up in these situations. We all know this as educators. On the top, we have tools that we have well-defined goals for, but we don't use those that often. And those are more like project tools. Let's say an example, Minecraft Edu. I really love the idea that we can go into Minecraft, we could do something together, but I really don't see myself using that on regular basis, let's say on weekly basis or even in bi-weekly basis. I would say that's a project. We do something cool, maybe once a month, once in 2 months, and that works fine. We have goals, we have an objective what we want to accomplish doing that, and that's fine. Same we can say about presentational tools, PowerPoint, or whatsoever. Those are used in a project, but not necessarily on a regular basis. But they really have their place. And finally, we are coming in the part that we are trying to do with Eduten Playground. That's our goal. What we want to achieve is have a tool that you can use on regular basis, and you have well-defined goals for your students that you're easy to follow and easy to make sure that are fulfilled. And this is actually a category that reminds of using exercise books. We use them on regular basis. Almost on every lesson, you probably use an exercise book. Students open a new page, they start working on the exercises, and usually the goal is to complete that chapter or complete that page. So that's something that we are also looking to achieve in a digital solution, to have something that can be used on regular basis and we can set well-defined goals that are easy to follow. And when you use a digital tool, try to figure out where do you land on this chart. Do you use it on regular basis or not? And do you have a well-defined goal or not? And try to remain on the upper part of this graph. Always try to have a well-defined goal. That makes learning, that gives the learning a purpose. Without goals, no one knows why we are doing this thing. When we have goals, we know why we are learning, what we are reaching for. Okay, with regular usage, we get routine. And that helps a lot. Routine is something that a lot of kids actually benefits from. When we create routines, they can predict what's going to happen. They can set their mind already for the action, and that will help a lot learning in learning and so on. And let's take a look what we actually need for building a solid routine and what options do we have. First, of course, we need to define how often. And now I'm talking about digital learning. So what are we going to do? Do we use platform every day? If we do use a platform every day, how much time do we spend on it? I'll remind you that the weekly goal is 30 to 75 minutes. And if I had a tool for daily usage, I wouldn't use it more than for, let's say, 5 to 15 minutes. So we use it maybe in the beginning of the lesson, at the end of the lesson, or something like that. Then, of course, we can use a tool, let's say, twice a week, maybe 3 times, 2 times, more than once. Then we can actually already increase the time. And I know a lot of teachers were actually using tools depending on a week, depending on a topic, twice a week, once a week, so on. But it can be already a bit longer. Then we go for once a week. This makes it really regular. It's still quite frequent. And this can already be a full lesson. That's fine. That will fit in the 30 to 75 minutes, even if we include homework. We can also do regular things once in 2 weeks. It's still fine. But at this point, I would also include homework kind of in between the weeks. So if we consider that we do digital learning once a week, once in 2 weeks at school, I would have also every other week at home as well. So we have more regular rhythm. When we go once a month, that means already that it's kind of a project thing. It's not that frequent anymore, and that actually requires something in between those monthly sessions. And the place is also important, so you can decide if you want to do these things purely at school, which gives you the benefit that you can monitor what the students are doing when you are in school. You can help them out if they have problems. You can guarantee that there are devices or network and things like that. But I also feel that it's important that the students can work on these topics at home as well. That gives them more time to work on the exercises or on the material. That actually gives them more freedom to try out things. That gives them responsibility to do things alone at home. And my favorite is to do actually at home and at school. So we don't just choose one, but we actually do both. Well, if we set aside the routine and we focus on the goals, we actually need to have clear goals, what we want students to achieve when they are using digital math tools. So basically, have a goal. What do they need to do, and when does it need to be ready? If you work on the platform every day, you probably want the goal to be done the next day. Not necessarily, but it might be like that. Uh, there might be alternative goals. This is quite popular in Finland at the moment, that all the students will not have the same goals, but they can actually choose the goals themselves. If you're aiming for higher grades, then you are also getting the higher goal. But if you are maybe lacking with your skills, you're not aiming that high, you can also actually select a goal that is not set that high at all. Key things with the goals is that we need to follow them. And especially important is the fact that if the goals are not met, what should we do? And kind of, yeah, we have a lot of homework. And if students don't do the homework, we probably have already a practice in place what to do. The same should apply here. If we don't follow the goals, and if we don't care or react to goals that are not met, that signals to the students that we don't actually care. It doesn't matter. And if we get that signal to the students that it doesn't matter, they will stop working on it. They are clever. They have a lot of schoolwork. The days are long. And if we signal them that what you are doing here is not important and we don't actually care, why should they do it? This is something that was taught me when I was in teacher training, that you can do whatever you like in the classroom, but whatever you make the students do, you also need to assess that. You need to give them feedback on what they're doing. Don't ever give them worksheets and just leave them out like that. But you need to actually give them feedback on the worksheets, what they did, what they completed. And I think the same applies here. If we don't care, why do we put them to do that in the first place? All right. But creating routine, well, especially a new routine, requires effort. That doesn't happen automatically. And the younger the students are, the more true this is. And you know this. When you get a new class, you need to teach them your ways of doing things, and it takes a little time. So if you are new to digital learning, or you are getting a new platform that you're starting to use, you are starting to create a new routine, it requires a bit of effort in the beginning. And this means, for example, that I wouldn't start using a platform purely for homework at the beginning. I would actually start working on the platform at school first, making sure everybody knows how it works, making sure they know how to log in, how the exercises, assignments are working, and all that. And once we have a routine for that, then we can actually push the work more towards the homework part. But yeah, it doesn't happen automatically. No matter what tool you get, it requires some level of effort. It requires reminding the students and so on. So be prepared for that. Okay, next I will move on to practical examples of Eduten Playground, and I will first explain you a little bit what Eduten Playground is and how we actually make it a tool that you can use on regular basis. And these examples will clarify the examples I gave you in the previous slides. So this will be kind of the concrete examples of the routine, how to set up that and how to make things work. First, about the platform itself. It covers grade levels 1 through 9, so basically ages 6 to 15. And fun trivia here, in Finland, we start our school when we are 7 years old, so we're relatively old. And so for us, it's ages 7 to 16. But anyway, we have approximately 500 lessons ready made, ready to start, one click, and it's ready to kind of use with the students. So the lesson plan is done. And this means that we have roughly 50 lessons for every grade level. In total, almost 20,000 exercises, which means roughly 39 per lesson, which is a lot of work for the students. So we can guarantee that there is 30 to 75 minutes a week for everybody. For grades 1 through 9. So you can really use it for a long time on regular basis. And basically how it works, we have different grade levels, and in them we have lessons. And teachers will open up lessons for students on weekly basis, and that's where the regularity comes in. So every week you open a new lesson for the students so they can practice with their skills. And you can actually see the goals here as well. The trophies work as goals. And you can see that this student has been really hard working. 3 diamonds, which is the best goal. And you can see also the lesson is a progress bar, so it's the full scores. 1 lesson with bronze trophy. It's still good, met their goal. And when we open a lesson, you get a lot of exercises. And we also have versatility in here. So we motivate the students with different kind of exercises, all automatically assessed. No need to assess by the teachers. They will give feedback for the students. Students will know if their answer was correct, incorrect. They can try them again and again and again. So this gives them the opportunity to practice their math skills. The things that they learned in class, now they have an interactive way of practicing with them. And how we propose teachers to start using this platform in class. We propose 1 lesson per week plus homework. So the proposition is to have 1 math lesson in school per week plus homework. And actually here in the slide you can see an example timetable from a 3rd grader in Finland. Yeah, I know our days are really short. Some days just 3 hours, some days 5 hours, but still every day stops at 1 o'clock. So that might be short, but that's just an example here. The key thing is that there is Eduten lesson in the timetable fixed every Thursday from 11 to 12. So students know that every Thursday during that lesson we will work on Eduten Playground. And they know that the teacher will open a new lesson for me. And before that lesson starts, I need to have completed my previous lesson. So this is where we also follow the goals. We give a regular schedule. Every week there's a new lesson. But we also give them goals. Every week I need to complete my previous lesson by getting a trophy. It can be the bronze trophy or it can be the diamond. That's a different goal for different students. But there is a goal which is easy for the teachers to monitor, but also really easy for the students to see themselves, where am I and how much do I need to work to get to that goal. So the advantage of this model is that we give time for the students to work on the exercises. That's where we use the lesson in school. We give them time to start working on the exercises. They get great progress. Many of them will not get the trophies yet, which means the lesson is not completed. But then they will have time to work on the exercises at home as well. And they can actually decide at home which trophy is my goal. Do I do 50% of the exercises? Do I do 70%, 90%, or 100%? Using this model that we take 1 lesson a week gives room for other teaching methods. like I showed you in the beginning, the versatility is your advantage. So this gives a lot of room for traditional teaching methods, active learning methods, and whatever you want to execute in your class. So it doesn't steal all your attention, it doesn't steal all your time, and it gives room for other methods as well. It gives an easy way to create a routine. So you can have the lesson once a week. The trophies give easy goals, and all the exercises are automatically assessed, and you can access the data from the learning analytics, including the homework, including the parts they're working at home. So that really saves you a lot of time. You will get a lot of information, what the students are doing, what they're mastering, what they're not doing. And if we go homework mode, like let's say all the homework will be done digitally, it means that before the lesson even starts, you can already see who did the homework, who did not, how well the students completed the homework, how well they mastered the skills that they were supposed to practice with the homework, and what exercises were difficult. So, do we need to go through one or two examples in the beginning or not? So, in best case scenario, this will save time from your class by just checking the homework before the class even starts, and you can spend the full lesson on learning new things, and you don't need to waste 10 to 15 minutes by just going through their old homework. So, how we can get success with this model? We fix the time for every week in the student's schedule. This actually also helps schools to divide the device resources. So you don't need to have one-to-one devices for every student, but it's enough to have a certain amount of devices so you can have them for the full class. And if you make reservations for those devices every week, the same lesson, you can actually fit a lot of classes to use the same devices, same resources every week. The second important part for the routine is to make sure that the students understand the goals, that they understand that they need to get a trophy from every new lesson. When you have these two, you have the routine. And when the students know this routine, it's super easy to work with these kind of exercises. The second part here is the goals and the positivity. And the trophies, in our case, is the secret weapon for the gamification. It's a tool for you to give positive feedback. You can give praises for the students when they achieve trophies. They probably will tell you before you even notice that, but still, it's a way to give them positive feedback. The older the students are, the more interested they are if these trophies will have an impact on their assessment. And this is something that will increase the motivation by a lot. If you can find a way to impact the assessment with their practicing or how much they are practicing. And in Finland, we actually might give them extra points in math exam based on how well they've been doing on those lessons in Eduten Playground. If they do really well, they might get some extra points, 1 or 2 points before they even start the exam. Parents are usually also interested in the progress of their students, the children. And in that way, it's an easy way to communicate the progress to parents as well, what trophies they're getting. If they are not getting trophies, the parents are usually interested in that as well, and so on. And one thing that we are promoting a lot is bringing those trophies into the classroom, make them visible. Here are some examples that we have seen in multiple classes. You can do this with or without names, depending on how well your class will tolerate this kind of, let's say, competition. Some classes really love this, others might not, but this actually brings the trophies from the digital world in the classroom, and they will be present there reminding of this routine. The advantage of the routine is in multiple, many digital platforms is the ability to see the continuous assessment, the learning analytics. And this is something that Eduten Playground is really good with. You will get a lot of information on the students' learning progress, which topics are difficult for them, which topics are easy. This is actually also a really great way to see if someone is not working at all. How can you learn if you're not practicing? So we provide a really good learning analytics for the teacher to see how the students are doing. We can monitor the diligence based on the score and time they're spending on the exercises. You can see that some students are really fast, getting a lot of scores. Some students need to take a bit more time to get the same amount of scores, and some students are not working that hard at all. It's super easy to check per lesson which trophies the students got, did they complete their homework or not, and we can even see which skills are difficult for them. So we can see a traffic light principle. For this, in this example, the text is very small. I'll tell you out loud. The student 2 is struggling with subtraction. Is also struggling with addition. There are some issues also with long calculations. So we know that student 2 does need help with these kind of skills. A lot of the other students are doing really well. There's no major issues. Some issues with multiplication, and there's another student again with problems in long calculations. But most of the students are doing really well. So now I know as a teacher that I need to focus my time on student 2. This is what we can get when we work on digital tools on regular basis with a good routine. We get a lot of information, and this does not require any assessment done by the teacher. This is all automatic. And how do I know that this is worth spending my time on every week, one lesson a week? Well, we actually did a lot of research on this, and I did my PhD on the learning impact of Eduten Playground. And we can prove that this will increase the mathematics performance of the students using this platform if we do it regularly, if we use 30 to 75 minutes a week with these exercises. And these are the key results that we actually find out in the research. Students will spend more time learning, up to 3 hours more active learning in a week. Well, that's way above 75 minutes, but they will learn a lot. Students solve a tremendous amount of tasks and calculations, 8,000 to 14,000 solved tasks per year, only during the Eduten lessons, not including all the other math lessons you are working on. So this will improve the skills in their math. We measured their mathematics skills. We can see the difference between students using Eduten Playground, not using the Eduten Playground. We have done this in multiple different schools, multiple different grade levels, even different countries. In all the studies, we get the same results. Students using Eduten Playground, they will improve their mathematical skills. And something I'm really proud of, and also tells us that we have done something well and something right, is the fact that more than 50% of the schools in Finland are using this platform today to teach math for students. And in Finland, we have a kind of unique position in a way that teachers are actually allowed to choose their tools by themselves. They can decide which tools I want to use in my class. And this means that these teachers have decided to use our solution over the other ones available because they like it. So that's something I'm really proud of. This is the kind of what technology to use. When you can find that the solution, the app, the platform is researched, they can show you the impact. That's also what matters. That's something you should be looking for in the solution. Thank you very much for participating in this webinar. I hope you learned a lot. If you have questions, I can answer them here. You can write the questions in the chat of the webinar, and they will be handpicked and delivered to me, and I can answer them for you. I hope you learned a lot, and you probably might have some questions, so let's wait for them. Give you a little time to write down the questions. All right, let's see if we do have any questions so far. Looks like something is coming up. All right, looks like that was a really comprehensive presentation. No questions so far. If you have questions later after this webinar, you can find my email address in the presentation. Don't hesitate to write me. Please do ask. And just to remind you, if you are interested in checking out the 4-week free pilot, go to playground.eduten.com/get started, and you can sign up for the 4 weeks pilot. All right, so we have a question. There's a question after test on Eduten. How can we send students work for him, her? I'm not sure what the question is actually about. Are we talking about sending the results of what they've been doing, or are we talking about assigning the exercises? I'm going to answer both of these questions. Students actually can see their own progress all the time. That's one of the cool things of the gamification. We actually allow students to see how well they're doing in which parts. Of course, there's no kind of this deep analytics that I just showed you. That's for pedagogical experts like teachers. And if you want to share these insights with students, that's something that I feel it's better to have a communication with them, like have a talk with them, have a chat. The second one is assigning the exercises. Well, teachers open the lessons, so that's giving them the work, assigning the exercises. And there are a lot of ways to differentiate students, to give different tasks for different students, but that's an advanced topic that you will learn in advanced training. But that was a great question, nevertheless. All right, thank you for the great question. Thank you for participating in this webinar. If you have further questions for me, you come up something in the middle of the night, just write me an email. I'll try to answer all the questions the best I can. Thank you for joining. It was my pleasure to be here with you. And have a great day. Thank you very much.